Oh, yeah. One more question. Do you like to pray with your eyes closed while you're driving or your eyes open?
If I'm driving, my eyes better be open. The Spirit will guide us, but He doesn't make us be stupid.
Okay, so now that we know that Bob's not overly religious and that Bob can have a civil conversation, you check out on all fronts. We're going to go ahead and have this conversation. Hey guys, welcome to the Let's Talk About It show. This is a Minutes with God Community Network interview. We're here at the home studio and we have Bob here with us. It's so good to have you, Bob. Yeah, so I see that you have gray hair. I have black hair. So I'm hoping that I get some wisdom today. And I think our audience needs to know a couple of things about you before we get started. Ford or Chevy?
Actually, 66 Pontiac GTO.
Okay. Black or white TVs or color TVs?
Grew up with black and white, have color TV now.
Okay. Flip phone or smartphone?
Put up with the flip phone. I'm an IT guy. Smartphone.
Okay, all right. So far you're checking out, Bob. So far you're checking out. All right. And what's a good question to ask Bob? Let me think about this. Text message or phone calls?
Text message.
Okay. How about text message or voicemail?
Text message. I'll use voicemail when I have to. When people at least are honest and say, don't bother leaving a message. I never return these calls. Just send me a text.
Okay. All right. All right. And so far it sounds like the culture has changed you. So far, don't say that culture doesn't change people. So far, it sounds like the culture has changed you. All right. So now that we established that, yeah, one more question. Do you like to pray with your eyes closed while you're driving or your eyes open?
If I'm driving, my eyes better be open. The Spirit will guide us, but He doesn't make us be stupid.
Okay, so now that we know that Bob's not overly religious and that Bob can have a civil conversation, you check out on all fronts. We're going to go ahead and have this conversation. All right. All right, Bob. So I met you through Calvary Chapel in Casa Grande, Arizona. And I better say Casa Grande, Arizona for some people that need the translation. And you guys have a great men's group. I know you help assist, help lead in the group and stuff. And you guys have some really strong topics that you talk about. And I want to talk a little bit about culture today, having a Christian relationship with God or just a relationship in the church with the brothers and sisters, but also taking your Christian knowledge and tying that in somehow to civilian life. And so I just, some of the topics you guys talk about are like, could a woman teach in church? Can she pastor or anything like that? And what's cool about it is that you take these table discussions because you guys have a guide, and all the guys kind of, they study, they dig deep, and they look, well, is this biblical or is it not biblical? And then recently we were talking about parents and kids, and what was that topic?
You're in a conversation and someone says surrogacy is just another form of adoption. If you oppose surrogacy, you must oppose adoption. And we addressed a biblical approach to the whole issue, cultural issue of, is surrogacy appropriate? Is it good for the children? Not good for the parents. But adoption is definitely good for the children. Parents are serving the needs of children who no longer have parents to care for them. So that was one of the big topics.
Yeah. Share another topic, because I want people to kind of get a taste of what the discussions that that happen at this group, because I go to church and I don't hear a lot of pastors talking about life that has to do with like everyday life. I hear like, praise the Lord, keep your trust in God, and just a lot of cliches. But when you're doing life outside of church, you know what I mean? You just don't get enough teaching within an hour at church service. There's so much more to our Christian life, and I want people to hear some of the topics. Give me a couple more topics that you guys have discussed at the men's group.
Coming up in April will be a presentation on a biblical response to critical theory, critical race theory, critical gender theory, and the whole issue. Pastor Pat has frequently made mention of transgender issue in schools, and there is again a biblical response to that idea. Some of the other discussions have been on how do we minister to the underprivileged in our community, and what is a biblical response to caring for the poor? Should there be reparations for those who have in the past dealt with the issue of slavery? What's a biblical response to that issue?
I like that. What's a biblical response? Okay, that's great. So talk to me a little bit about cultural issues and Christianity. Like, what are some things that you have seen lately that kind of, I don't know, that you kind of feel that should be spoken about?
Fortunately, at Calvary Chapel in Casa Grande, we have a pastor who is addressing from the pulpit cultural issues very clearly. He takes it from a biblical response, a loving response, but still, this is right, this is wrong. How do we minister to somebody who is caught up in what the culture says is right, but the Bible's approach says is wrong? And the transgender issue. In no other psychological issue does medical science say we are going to change your body to conform to the distorted view you have in your mind, except in transgender. We have 12-year-old kids, because it's popular among the 12-year-old girls mostly, I want to be a boy. So they remove their organs. They have surgery. They put them on hormone-suppressing drugs, and the medical industry is acknowledging this is a great thing, because once we get them started on the drugs, they're hooked for life, and we make a lot of money. That's abominable, and the church needs to stand out and say, no, this is wrong. We cannot do this. And again, Pastor Pat very clearly says, this is a problem, and we will help people. We, the church, when someone has a gender dysphoria problem, help them. How do you work through it? How do you become accustomed to? How do you change your thinking to align with your body, not carve your body to align with the distorted view you have in your mind?
Amen. Amen. That's good. That's real good. I actually appreciate the church tackling issues like that, especially cultural issues. Now, in your opinion or perspective, what is traditional values? How do you define that from the age you are now?
Traditional values should be aligned with and based upon biblical values. In the beginning, God created the male and female. And when Jesus was confronted, well, we had this situation where one man married a woman, husband died, they followed the levirate practice where the brother would marry the wife and have a child for the one who died, and they continued, and she married 7. To whom is she married? You don't understand. Jesus himself said, in the beginning, God made them male and female. Marriage was between a biologically male person, a man, biologically female person, a woman. There were 2 genders. They married for life. If they have children, that's a blessing. If they don't, they still have a picture of the love of Christ, the husband, for his church, the wife. That's our responsibility. So that's the traditional values. Traditional values say if I go to work for an employer, I owe him good work. I owe him diligent work, honest work. That's how. I don't work for, I retired from CenturyLink. I didn't retire from CenturyLink. I retired from a business relationship with the company, but I was working for the Lord. And that's how we as Christians need to live.
That's good. That's good. And so nowadays, when we're talking to kids who don't have a traditional worldview, why does it matter what they say inside the church and outside of the church?
The greatest determinative for the success of a child is to grow up in the family of a married biological father, a married biological mother. Inner city churches where there is no father are plagued with immense problems. You can throw government money all you want, but until we as a culture say, if you're going to start a relationship with a woman, marry her, then have children, stay with the children. And guess what, guys? It's not about you. It's you following Christ's command. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. So if I don't feel like doing something, put on your big boy pants. If I don't feel like I want to do this, if I see another woman who is more attractive to me at the time than my wife, grow up, dude. Stay faithful to your wife, care for your children, and that's the greatest way for children to flourish, for women to be protected, and families to be established. And as a culture, we may not mandate it legally, but we can support it. And that's the role of government, to support that institution that God created before any other institution was created.
That's good. That's good. Hey, guys, if you like that podcast, then do us a favor. Why don't you hit that like button, subscribe, and share with a friend or family? God bless.